People with unstable exes, what's the craziest thing they did after you guys broke up? I broke up with her, and she said that she didn't want me around the apartment I was mostly paying for. I told her I needed access to my belongings and so I would need to come into the apartment to get them. She flips out and starts trying to wrench my keys out of my pocket and hitting me. When this proves fruitless, she physically blocks the door to the room I am in and doesn't let me out. I try to squeeze by her without pushing too hard. She starts slapping and scratching me. I get tired of this and threaten to call the cops. I dial and she finally gets out of the way. Unfortunately, the cops had to come anyway because it was a domestic dispute and instantly start trying to drag me out of my own apartment. I had to inform them that it was actually me that called and not the sobbing girl, because she had become abusive and I wasn't going to get physical with her. Never call the cops without another witness present, otherwise the guy, you, is going to the police station to sort all this out, while she steals your most expensive stuff to go pawn. Not that you could use that info now, but anyone else reading and dealing with a crazy ex. Take a friend when you go to pick your stuff up and have them ready to call 911 if you're being blocked from your own place and police threats are being tossed around. Motherfucker confessed to me that he poked holes in the condom the very last time we had sex in an attempt to get me pregnant. He knew that our relationship was falling apart and thought that was the way to keep me around. He even went to my family's house to convince them to be on his side. He was stupid enough to think I would take him back for telling me the truth. I didn't end up pregnant with his kid, thank God. I was my ex's emergency contact. He broke up with me in August, and having been dumped, I stopped taking his calls and answering his texts. This went on for a month and a half. In early October, I got a call from the hospital saying they needed me to come in as I was his emergency contact. He was a delivery driver for a restaurant and got hit by a car. Thankfully, he was just scratched and bruised, but nothing major. We checked out and I dropped him off at home. As he's getting out of the car, he says, "I'm glad you came. I didn't know what else to do to finally get you to talk to me again. I was livid." I told him to get out. During college, I went on one date with a girl I'd met in line at the bookstore. It was a nice dinner followed by drinks at the bar, and the night ended at her place. I thought I legitimately liked her. The next evening, she called to ask if we could hang out, but I had a birthday party to attend with a bunch of guy friends and wouldn't be available. She showed up at the bar we were at, and I chatted for a minute but explained I was spending time with the guys and would call her some other time. She seemed agitated. The party moved on and I started getting texts from her every 10 minutes for the rest of the night. I responded to none of them, and they got progressively angrier. "You should ditch your friends. Why are you being such a jerk tonight? Fuck you, a-hole. I swear I'm not crazy. I'm sorry, come over and I'll make it up to you. Fuck you," etc., etc. The next morning I had received a total of 24 text messages, 8 calls, 2 Facebook messages, and 1 long email trying to explain herself. I saw her in passing several times through the rest of college. She usually gave me an angry glare. I'm in an open marriage, and I met this woman on OkCupid who was like this. We talked on the phone once, she seemed nice. I thought we could hang out someday soon. The next night she texted me and asked what I was up to, and I told her I was watching a movie with my wife but we could chat later. She immediately calls me, but I don't pick up. She calls again. She texts, "We should hang out tonight. Let's hang out. Call me. Text me back when you get this. I'm in your town. This bartender says he knows you." Texts me a picture with the bartender. "Let's hang out. Come on out." Nothing for a few minutes, then a long text upset that she came all the way out to my town, about 30 minutes away from hers, and I didn't come to the bar to see her. She told me she needed a girlfriend that paid more attention to her, and knew she couldn't be with someone who did this to their wife, if this was how it was going to be, implying that I cheated on my wife. I showed the text to my wife, and we both agreed that we should take a break from OkCupid for a while. An ex-girlfriend signed me up for a paid membership in the Ku Klux Klan. That never goes away. For some reason I pictured membership to the KKK being more involved. Didn't realize it was not unlike a gym membership or magazine sub. Smashed my new 50-inch TV, slashed all my tires, and threw my laptop in the bathtub. He had to pay for it all though, so I didn't press charges. Dumbass left me a bunch of texts saying he would do it. My phone was dead at the time, so I didn't see them till after the damage was done. so he was easily caught. Oh, and it was perfect timing since it was close to Christmas, and I ended up buying a nicer 55-inch TV because of all the after-Christmas deals. I was the unstable ex many times. I would pester and call and guilt trip and insult. Then I started to see a therapist, and I was put on medication, and it helped me see how terribly I treated these ladies. I don't bother them anymore, but I would love to apologize and explain that the chemicals in my brain were not balanced, and that I am super sorry for everything. But I can't, because I don't want to bother them. Moved home, knowingly became HIV positive, sent me a copy of the test with a note that said, "I did this because you left me, have a happy life." Knowingly? That's fucked, man. Very. A few days after that I got a video he took of him mainlining a needle full of his POS friend's blood. I feel sorry for him, but at the same time very relieved that we are no longer together now that I know the level of crazy lurking in his brain. And very happy I got out when I did for my own health. A week after I had kicked her out, she walked into my apartment drunk as hell with her new boyfriend and a couple of his friends at 3 a.m. Guess she still had a key. I jumped out of bed, ran into the living room and asked her what the fuck she was doing there. Her new boyfriend got in my face saying she and I were in a common-law marriage because we had lived together for so long, and they were too drunk to drive back home, so they were gonna sleep in the living room. I threatened to call the police, voices got raised. My ex finally said that they'd be more comfortable sleeping in their car outside. I went back to bed where a new girl was still naked and confused. Walked 3 miles to my house with a pot of mac and cheese because her parents took away her car for being crazy and stalking me. After I didn't come outside, she started banging pots and pans together, flinging mac and cheese everywhere. Then slit her wrists. Fucking insane. My ex of 2 years broke it off because she didn't want to be in a long-distance relationship while she studied abroad. Perfectly fine by me since she was doing 2 stints in a row and I wouldn't see her for a year and a half, summer to end of next summer. She Skype calls me about 3 weeks after we broke up and about 2 weeks after she starts studying abroad to ask for help getting a guy to date her. Being the always overly nice guy that I am, I say, "Sure, but if I do this I expect you to cut all ties with me forever unless it's an emergency." She complied. I told her to just ask him out. It works. I hang up. She Skype calls me a month later saying it's an emergency. She wants to end it because he's not like Spanish me after all but doesn't know how. I told her the best penis repellent is to ask him to help her pick up another guy and hung up. She texted me one day and told me she didn't want to be together anymore and that she wanted to go back with her ex. She was kinda controlling girl anyway and I didn't mind. But 2 days later she told me she wasn't on birth control while we were seeing each other, and she lied so she could try to have a kid with me. She just wanted a kid, so I was basically sperm to her. My 19-year-old self was freaking the fuck out for a few weeks and imagining a terrible life of shitty job and a horrible baby mama situation. Luckily she wasn't pregnant, and she kept begging me to come fuck her like 3 times in a month. I said no thanks every time, and she ended up getting pregnant by some other guy. I just laugh every time I think about her really dumb life. I can pick a few things out of the vast ocean of crazy that is my ex. She called 2 different jobs and proceeded to tell my boss that I was a bad person, crazy, unreliable, and I should be fired. She actually called one of my bosses about 40-something times in a row. She threw the top of a barbecue grill at me because I left to go to work. She threw gravel at my car after I didn't agree to her schedule. That's right, I got her pregnant. Now I am the custodial parent. By the way, she only sees the kiddo on the weekends. My ex walked into Thanksgiving dinner while my stepfather was putting the turkey on the table, demanded to know if I was sleeping with the girl that was there. She then tried to steal my phone and after 10 more minutes of her screaming obscenities proceeded to steal my bed. I mean, she literally took my mattress and box spring through the house, brought them out on the front lawn. She quickly realized that her Honda Civic wasn't going to be able to transport my mattress and box spring. So she took the only reasonable course of action and proceeded to stand on them so that I couldn't get them back. She made a phone call and a few minutes later her sister showed up with a truck. She screamed, "Have fun fucking on the floor!" Loaded my bed into the truck, then got in her car and left. That was 2 years ago. I'm still with the other girl and I did indeed enjoy fucking her on the floor. Edit. A lot of people are asking why I didn't call the cops. To be honest, it would have been useless. It would have delayed the meal longer, They wouldn't have gotten to my house in time to stop her, and by the time they did get to my house, that bed was already in whatever dumpster she threw it in. Demanded I pay more than the court mandated amount for child support. When I said no, she called the police on me, saying I had kidnapped our daughter when it was during my visitation. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.